Hi there, and welcome. You don't have to sit up or focus or do anything special. You don't even need to pay attention very well. This is a place for rest, for half-finished thoughts, for softened edges at the end of a long day. If your eyes are already heavy, that's perfect. If your mind is buzzing a little, that's okay too. You're allowed to arrive here exactly as you are. Tired, curious, restless, hopeful, or just sleepy and done with the day. There is nothing you need to perform or achieve while you listen. You don't need to remember facts or understand every explanation. You can let the words wash over you the way waves move over sand, smoothing everything they touch, and then sliding quietly away again. If you drift off in the middle of a sentence, that is not a problem at all. In fact, that's one of the goals. This space is made for drifting, for wandering, for that gentle in-between place where you are not fully awake, not quite asleep, floating somewhere in the soft middle. Tonight, we're going to explore the gentle science of falling asleep, not in a sharp clinical way, not like a classroom or a test or a list of rules you have to follow, more like a slow night walk through your own mind and body, noticing what they already know how to do, and maybe feeling a little more comfort in the process. Think of this as a quiet, whispered invitation. We'll talk about how your body builds up a kind of sleep pressure during the day, how the light around you nudges your inner clock toward night, how your thoughts loosen and melt into dreams, but we'll do it slowly, softly, and with plenty of room for you to drift away whenever you're ready. If your mind wanders off, that's perfectly okay. The science will still be here, like lamps along a path, but you don't have to see everyone. You can catch a few, or none, and still arrive at the same peaceful destination: rest. This whole journey is designed to be easy to let go of. You don't need to cling to it. You can allow your attention to come and go like a tide, and if sleep arrives, you can follow it without looking back. You have full permission, right from the very beginning, to close your eyes if they aren't closed already, and to let them stay closed. You have permission to miss parts, to forget everything, to listen with only a small, sleepy piece of your awareness. You're safe here. You're allowed to rest. If you like having a quiet place like this to return to, a little corner of the night devoted to soft science and sleep, you're always welcome to support it in those small familiar ways. Maybe by liking the video or subscribing or saving it for another night when you need it. You don't have to do that now though. You can simply make a tiny note in the back of your mind that this is a place you can come back to whenever you want to relax and drift. For now, we'll let all of that float off to the side. We're not here to work, we're here to unwind. Let's start with something very simple: your breath. You don't have to change it or count it or make it perfect. Just notice it, very gently. The way you might notice a curtain moving in a soft breeze. Feel the air coming in through your nose or mouth, cooler perhaps as it enters, warmer as it leaves. If it feels okay, you might let your next inhale be just a little longer than the last one. Not forced, not dramatic, just a slightly deeper sip of air. And then let the exhale fall out of you, slow and easy, like a wave retreating from the shore, in, like the tide coming in, out, like the tide slipping back, leaving the sand smoother than before. You might imagine that with each gentle exhale, your nervous system is getting a quiet message. It's okay, you can relax now. You're not in a hurry. Nothing is chasing you. You have this time just to be. Let your breath find a rhythm that feels natural. Maybe it's a little slower than usual. Maybe it stays exactly the same. Either way, it's fine. Your body knows how to breathe without you doing much at all. As you breathe, you can begin to let your attention wander down through your body, almost like a warm light moving slowly from your head to your toes, starting at your forehead. Can you soften the muscles there just a little? Let your eyebrows release any tiny frown they might be holding. Let the skin across your forehead feel smooth and loose, like fabric that has been gently uncreased. Around your eyes, you might let the muscles grow heavy. If your eyes are open, you can let them close whenever you like, as if the lids are curtains being drawn for the night. If they are already closed, notice the weight of them, the way they rest comfortably where they are. Let your jaw unclench. If your teeth are touching, you might ease them apart just slightly, letting the tongue rest quietly wherever it wants to settle. Imagine tension here melting like wax, slow and warm, running down and away. Your neck and shoulders have carried your day. They've held your posture, your bags, your worries, your to-do lists. For a few moments, they don't have to hold anything. You might imagine your shoulders dropping a fraction of an inch toward the bed, toward the pull of gravity, toward the center of the earth, as if invisible hands are gently smoothing them down, saying, "There we go. That's better." Just rest. Let that feeling spill down your arms, past your elbows, into your hands and fingers. If your hands are clenched or curled, see if they want to uncurl a little. They don't have to be perfect, just a little softer, like flowers folding their petals for the night. Now notice your chest, the rise and fall with each breath, quiet and steady. Maybe you feel your heartbeat, the subtle thump deep inside, working for you without asking for attention. Your chest doesn't need to do anything extra. It just rises and falls, a small constant lullaby. Let your awareness drift down into your belly. So many of us hold tension there without even knowing it, tightening as we think, as we plan, as we worry. For tonight, your belly is allowed to soften. You can imagine it like warm sand, gently settling and spreading out, down through your hips, your thighs, your knees. Let them grow heavy, supported by the bed or couch beneath you. Let gravity do the work. You don't have to hold yourself up anymore. Your calves, your ankles, your feet, all the steps you took today, all the places you went, even if it was just across the room, all of that can end here, in stillness. You might imagine your feet sinking into something soft and warm, like thick moss in a quiet forest, holding you, cradling you. From the top of your head to the tips of your toes, your whole body is slowly letting go. Not all at once, not forced, just a gradual unwinding, like a spool of thread gently loosening. You might picture your tension as little grains of sand, and with each exhale, a few of those grains slide off you, falling away into the night, leaving you lighter, softer, a little more at ease. If it helps, imagine yourself lying on the surface of a quiet lake at dusk. The water is perfectly calm, warm enough to be comfortable, cool enough to feel clean and fresh. Your body is fully supported. You don't have to swim, don't have to paddle. You just float effortlessly, watching a dim sky slowly fill with stars. Or perhaps instead you imagine resting beneath a soft blanket of starlight. Each star a small distant candle, flickering gently above you. The sky itself like a vast, dark quilt, tucking you in. Whatever image feels most soothing to you, you can stay there for a while, breathing in and out, floating, resting, doing nothing at all. Now, as you lie there, wrapped in your own quiet, I'd like to take you somewhere in your imagination. Picture yourself at the edge of a tranquil nighttime scene. Maybe it's a beach, long and empty, the sand cool under your bare feet. The sea is calm here, breathing its own slow breath. Waves sliding in, brushing the shore with a soft whisper, and then retreating again, leaving little shining traces of foam. The sky is wide and dark, but not heavy. Overhead, the moon hangs like a gentle lantern, casting a pale path of light across the water. You can hear the distant song of the ocean, steady and soothing like the earth's own heartbeat. The air around you is comfortable, somewhere between warm and cool, that perfect nighttime temperature that makes blankets feel inviting but not necessary. There might be a faint scent of salt and seaweed, the smell of things at rest. Maybe you're not on a beach at all, maybe you're in a small cozy cabin tucked into a quiet hillside. The walls are wooden, the floor is smooth, and everywhere there are signs of warmth and safety. A soft chair by the window, a stack of books, a blanket draped over the foot of a bed. Outside, the night is deep and peaceful. You can almost feel the universe stretching out in every direction, filled with stars and silence. Inside, the lights are dim, perhaps just a small lamp on a table, its glow golden and gentle. Wherever you imagine yourself, beach or cabin, forest or hillside, it's a place that welcomes rest. A place that seems to say, you don't need to be anywhere else now, you don't need to do anything else. You're allowed to simply be here, breathing, existing, letting the day fall away. As you take in this scene, notice how it mirrors what happens inside you as you prepare to sleep. The way the world grows quieter as evening deepens, that's a little like your mind and body shifting into night mode. The way the colours soften and dim, the way the air cools, it all echoes what happens in your brain as it begins to ease away from the brightness of the day. Think about those slow waves in the water, the gentle rise and fall. They're a bit like the rhythms of your brain as it relaxes, moving from fast, busy patterns into slower, calmer ones. We'll explore those patterns later, but for now, you can just feel yourself tuning to the same pace as the water, or the wind in the trees, or the quiet tick of an unseen clock. The stars above you, scattered across the sky, might remind you of your thoughts. At first, there are many bright and distinct. Things that happen today, things you need to do tomorrow, memories and worries and stray images, all shining in their own way. But as you sink deeper into night, those thoughts can begin to blur and drift. Like stars reflected in the surface of the water, they stretch and shimmer, losing their sharp edges until they are no longer separate points, just a soft haze of light that you can float beneath without needing to name each one. We are going to walk through the process your body and mind go through when you fall asleep, but again, you don't have to hold on to any of it. Think of our journey like a gentle stroll along the shoreline of your own biology. We'll notice a few things, point them out softly and then move on, letting the specifics fade behind us. We're not studying, we're not memorizing, we're just noticing, with curiosity and kindness. Let's begin with something deeply familiar, that feeling of being tired. You know it in your bones. Maybe you feel it right now, the heaviness behind your eyes, the way your thoughts feel slightly slower, a little thicker, like they've been moving all day and are finally ready to rest. Throughout your waking hours, your body has been quietly keeping track. Every moment you've been awake, little chemical changes have been accumulating inside your brain, building what scientists often call sleep pressure. You can picture it as an invisible weight, very gentle, gradually pressing down on your system, or perhaps like sand filling an hourglass. Grain by grain, minute by minute, the level rises. One of the key actors in this process is a molecule called adenosine. You don't need to remember the name, but you might enjoy the story. When you're awake and active, your brain cells are busy, talking to each other, using energy. Like any hard-working system, they leave tiny traces of their effort behind. Adenosine is one of those traces, a quiet messenger that builds up over the day. As the hours pass, adenosine levels slowly climb, especially in certain parts of your brain. Your cells feel this and begin to translate it into a feeling you know well: sleepiness. You could imagine adenosine as soft, invisible snowflakes drifting down onto the surface of your mind. At first, there are only a few, and you barely notice them. You're bright, alert, busy. But as the day goes on, more and more of these fine flakes settle. They don't weigh much on their own, but together they form a kind of quiet blanket, muffling the noise, dimming the brightness, encouraging the world to soften. That heaviness in your eyelids, that sense that your body wants to sink into something soft. Those are your senses whispering to you in response to this chemical snow. The beautiful thing is that this is not a failure of willpower. It's not you being lazy or unproductive. It's simply your body's homeostasis, its way of keeping balance. Every time you're awake, you move a little bit away from equilibrium, using up resources, collecting these gentle signals of tiredness. And when the signals grow strong enough, your body begins to guide you back toward rest. Have you ever noticed that moment in the evening when your thoughts suddenly feel slow and syrupy, as if someone has poured a little honey into the gears of your mind? or the way your head might bob slightly when you catch yourself almost falling asleep in front of a screen or a book. Those moments are your sleep pressure showing itself, saying, it's time to switch modes now, it's time to let the day go. When you finally do fall asleep, the levels of adenosine in your brain begin to drop again. Your internal snow is gently swept away. You might imagine tiny caretakers, a silent night crew, tidying things up while you dream, so that when you wake again you start fresh, with the hourglass turned over. No matter what you did today, however productive or unproductive it felt, your body has still been doing this delicate work. It has been listening and adjusting, nudging you toward the rest you need. So if you feel heavy, if your thoughts are thick, if your body aches for softness, that's not something to fight. It's your own natural biology singing you a quiet lullaby. Now, sleep pressure is only one part of the story. There's another rhythm winding its way through your day and night, like a deep, slow current underneath your experiences. Think back to a typical evening. Maybe the light in your room starts to dim, either because the sun is setting outside or because you've turned off a few lamps. Shadows stretch a little farther across the floor. Colours become muted, slipping into greys and blues. Outside, if you were to look, you might see the sky shifting through layers of colour. Gold, then rose, then purple, then indigo. The first stars appear, almost shy. The world wraps itself in darker tones. Inside your body, something similar is happening. You carry within you a kind of clock, not one with ticking hands or numbers, but a biological rhythm that repeats roughly every 24 hours. This is often called your circadian rhythm, from words that mean around a day. This rhythm helps regulate when you feel awake and when you feel sleepy, when hormones rise and fall, when your body temperature shifts, when your cells perform their nightly cleanup. One of the quiet messengers in this system is a hormone called melatonin. You might have heard of it as a supplement people sometimes take, but your body makes its own, deep in a tiny structure in your brain. You can imagine melatonin as a gentle night messenger. During the day, when the world is bright and the sun reaches your eyes, your brain holds this messenger back. It says, "Not yet, it's still daytime, we'll send the night message later." As the evening approaches and the light fades, your inner clock senses the change. Slowly, it begins to release melatonin into your bloodstream, like a letter being delivered to every cell of your body that says, "Night is coming. It's time to soften, to cool, to quiet down." If you picture your body as a little village, melatonin might be the lamplighter, walking through the streets at dusk, gently dimming the lights, closing shutters, lowering voices. It doesn't force you to sleep, but it prepares the stage, making the world around your cells feel twilight soft. That's part of why dimming your lights and stepping away from bright screens in the evening can feel so calming. It's like you're working with your inner lamplighter, not against it. Imagine all the evenings humans have experienced since long before electricity, when the only light came from the sky and from fire. As the sun sank, people would gather near flickering flames, their faces lit by orange glow, their bodies naturally responding to the darkness beyond. They didn't know the words circadian rhythm or melatonin, but they lived inside the rhythm anyway, guided by stars and moon and the slow turning of the earth. You, lying here now in your bed, are part of that same long story. Your inner clock still listens to light and dark. It still synchronizes itself to the day outside, even if your lights are artificial and your screen's bright. When you begin to fall asleep, it's not an isolated event. It's the result of many gentle signals coming together. The build-up of sleep pressure, the release of the night messenger, the cooling of your body, the dimming of your surroundings. It's like the whole of you is a concert hall, and bedtime is the moment when the lights go low, the audience quiets, and the orchestra of your biology begins to play a slower, softer piece. If you are still awake, you might just notice the edges of your body again, how your head rests, how your shoulders feel. Maybe some part of you has already loosened while we've been talking. Maybe your breath has settled into a slightly deeper rhythm. You don't need to check, and you certainly don't need to judge. You can simply allow whatever is happening to be exactly as it is. We'll continue our gentle walk through the science of falling asleep. But remember, you're free to drift away at any time. The details can fade, the metaphors can blur, and your mind can wander off into its own quiet landscapes. For now, you are here, supported, held by the bed beneath you, by the night around you, by the ancient rhythms inside you that already know the way to sleep. If you're still here with me, still listening in this quiet space, you might notice that you've already travelled a little distance from the busy part of your day. Maybe you drifted in and out of the last few words. Maybe your thoughts wandered off to something else and then drifted back again. That's all perfectly okay. You don't have to follow every detail or remember every explanation. This is not a test. This is just a gentle companion for your night. Something soft for your mind to rest against as your body and brain do what they already know how to do. So if you feel relaxed, that's welcome. If you feel distracted, that's welcome too. Every version of you that lies down to sleep is allowed to be here. We talked about how your body quietly builds sleep pressure through the day, and how your inner clock listens to light and dark, sending out soft hormonal messages that it's time to wind down. Now, let's wander a little deeper into the way your mind itself begins to unclench when it's ready for sleep. You probably know the feeling of lying in bed while your thoughts keep chattering. Your body might be still, your room might be dim and quiet, but inside your head it feels like a busy marketplace, full of voices and memories and unfinished conversations. The day hasn't quite let go of you yet. Sometimes you might replay things you said, wondering if you should have said something different. Sometimes your mind jumps ahead, listing tomorrow's tasks or imagining future worries. It can feel as if your thoughts are little birds, fluttering from branch to branch, never quite settling down. There's nothing wrong with you when this happens. Your brain has been in doing mode all day, solving problems, interacting with people, responding to messages, navigating your world. It doesn't always know how to snap out of that instantly, just because the clock says it's bedtime. Inside your brain, this wakeful mode is often reflected in certain kinds of electrical activity. When you're alert, focused, thinking actively, your brain produces fast, busy rhythms often called beta waves. You don't need to remember the name, but you might like the idea. You can imagine your wakeful brain as a city during the daytime. Lights in office windows, traffic moving, conversations overlapping, signals crisscrossing the air. Those faster rhythms are like the hum of that city, full of motion and noise. As you begin to relax, as you lie in bed and your environment grows quieter, something subtle begins to shift. Your brain doesn't suddenly turn off. Instead, it slowly changes gears, moving from those bright, bustling patterns into slower, more peaceful ones. These calmer rhythms, often called alpha waves, tend to appear when you're awake but relaxed, eyes closed, thoughts wandering more gently. You might think of alpha waves as the city at sunset, the sky turning gold and pink, the noise gradually decreasing, people heading home, lights in office buildings switching off one floor at a time. In this state, you might still be aware of your surroundings. You could hear a sound in your room or answer a simple question if someone spoke to you. But there's more space between your thoughts now. They move less like a sharp, constant stream and more like clouds drifting across the sky. If you let yourself sink deeper into this relaxation, the brain's rhythms slow further. You begin to move toward what are called theta waves, slower still, dreamier. At this stage, the city of your mind is maybe no longer a city at all. It's more like a quiet village under the stars, a few lights glowing in windows, the streets mostly empty, the sky stretching overhead in a deep blue hush. In these shifts, your brain is gradually loosening its grip on the day. It's as if a hand that has been holding tightly to a rope finally starts to let the fingers uncurl one by one, until the rope is no longer being pulled, just resting in the palm. You might notice this as a change in how your mind feels. Thoughts that were sharp and insistent become softer, more fluid. Memories blend into daydreams. You might start to see little images behind your closed eyes, shapes or colours that don't quite make sense yet. And here is a gentle question to hold, if you're awake enough to meet it. What if drifting off to sleep is not about shutting down, but about opening to softness? So often, we think of sleep as turning something off, as if we have to force our mind to stop talking, to stop thinking. But your brain is not a machine with a simple on-off switch. It's more like an ocean that gradually grows calm after a windy day. The waves don't vanish in a single instant. They slowly grow smaller, the surface smoothing out, the water reflecting the sky. You don't command the ocean to stop moving. You simply allow it to time, and it settles on its own. In the same way, you don't have to force your mind to be empty. You can let it move through its natural stages, from busy to slower still, until the thoughts that once seemed loud become faint and far away, like distant boats out on that quiet sea. If you're still listening, you might take a moment to notice the flavour of your thoughts right now. Are they sharp and quick? Are they soft and meandering? Are they already dissolving into something more like dream fragments? There is no right answer. Whatever you find is okay. You're simply noticing the landscape of your mind as it shifts toward night. Eventually, as those rhythms slow further, you arrive at a delicate threshold, a bridge between waking and sleeping. This is a place you visit every night, even if you don't often remember it. You might recognize it as that strange floating state when you're not quite awake, but not yet fully asleep. Your body feels heavy, or maybe pleasantly weightless. Your thoughts become less like sentences, and more like little scenes or flashes of imagery. Perhaps you've experienced lying in bed, thinking about something from your day, and then suddenly realizing that your mind has turned that memory into a tiny dreamlike story without asking your permission. Someone you were talking to earlier appears in your mind, but now they're on a boat or in a different time, or speaking in a voice that isn't theirs. The edges of reality begin to blur. This transitional state is sometimes called the hypnagogic phase. The word might sound a little technical, but the feeling is familiar and very human. In this in-between place, you might see brief flashes of light or colour behind your closed eyes, or patterns like shifting kaleidoscopes. You might hear faint imagined sounds, a snatch of music, a fragment of conversation, something that isn't really happening in the room, but feels strangely vivid in your inner world. It can be a little odd if you notice it clearly, but it is completely normal. Your brain is starting to disconnect from the precise, organised way it processes daytime reality, and experimenting with a looser, more freeform style that will become your dreams. You can think of it like standing where land meets sea. Behind you, the solid ground of waking life, the stories you know, the tasks and faces and places that belong to your day. In front of you, the endless shimmering water of the dream world, where logic is softer and time doesn't always make sense. In the hypnagogic state, you are standing with your feet in the wet sand at the very edge. The waves lap over your toes, then retreat. Little bits of dream wash up around you, then slip away again before you can fully grasp them. Sometimes your body might respond with a sudden twitch or jerk, as if you've stepped off a curb in a dream or lost your balance. This too is part of that transition, a strange but harmless miscommunication as your muscles begin to release control and your brain shifts modes. Your sensory gates slowly begin to close. External sounds and sensations matter less. Internal imagery matters more. It's as if the curtains of a theatre are drawing shut on the outside world, while backstage the crew is preparing the set for a new kind of performance. There's something quietly magical about this threshold, if you allow yourself to see it that way, even for just a moment before you surrender to it completely. Every night, you pass through a doorway into dreams, and for a few instants, you stand in that doorway, partly in one world, partly in another. You may not always remember those instants, but they are there, part of the gentle choreography of falling asleep. If you find yourself hovering in that place right now, not fully here, not fully gone, you can know that you are safe. Your brain is simply doing what it has been shaped to do by countless nights and countless ancestors. It is easing you across the threshold, like someone taking your hand and guiding you from a bright room into a dim, peaceful one. If your mind still feels more awake than sleepy, that's okay too. You don't have to chase this state. It will come on its own, in its own time, the way a tide rises without being ordered to. As your brain begins this night shift, so does your body in a more tangible way. Think for a moment about your muscles. Throughout the day, they've been supporting you, holding you upright, moving you from place to place, tensing slightly as you concentrate or navigate conversations or simply stand in line. Even when you think you're relaxed during the day, there's often a subtle readiness in them. A quiet tension prepared to help you respond to whatever comes next. When you lie down to sleep, a different message begins to spread through your nervous system. The part of your system that handles rest and digest, the parasympathetic branch, starts to take the lead, while the more active fight or flight pathways gently step back. You don't have to control this shift. It happens beneath your awareness. But you can feel its effects. Your heart rate, which was faster during the day to keep up with your movements and your emotions, begins to slow. The beat becomes softer, more regular, like a drum whose tempo is being gently reduced. Your breathing, which may have been shallow or quick at times, lengthens and deepens. Each inhale fills you more comfortably. Each exhale empties you a little more completely. Your blood pressure dips downward. Your core body temperature may fall just a little, helping you feel more ready to curl up under blankets or nestle into whatever position feels safest and coziest. You can imagine your whole body as a lantern that has been burning bright all day. The flame inside was strong and quick, consuming more fuel, casting sharp light and shadows. As night comes, the lantern is turned down. The flame is still there, still steady, but it's smaller now, softer. The light it casts is warmer, gentler, painting the walls with quiet amber instead of stark white. This dimming is not a loss. It's a conservation, a kindness your body does for itself so it can repair, restore, and prepare for another day. Lying there as you are now, you might notice how your limbs feel. Are your arms heavier than they were an hour ago? Do your legs seem to sink more deeply into the mattress or cushion? That heaviness can be comforting if you let it. It's not a weight pressing you down in a burdensome way. It's more like the feeling of being held, as if the earth itself has cupped its hands around you, supporting your bones and muscles so they no longer have to hold themselves up. Your muscles gradually loosen their habitual tension. The micro-tightening around your shoulders, your neck, your lower back starts to dissolve. If you like, you can imagine a gentle wave of relaxation moving through you, starting at the top of your head and flowing downward, washing through each muscle group, leaving it a little softer than before. It's as if someone is going around your body, turning down tiny switches in every muscle. This one can rest now, and this one, and this. You don't have to know the names of the nerves involved or the exact pathways of the signals. You can trust that your body has practiced this routine every night of your life and long before that, in all the generations that came before you. Your breath is a quiet guide in this process. With each slow inhale, you invite in a little more ease. With each slow exhale, you release what you no longer need to carry right now. Bits of the day, fragments of worry, leftover adrenaline that's not serving you in this moment. You might picture your breath as a gentle tide, just as we imagined earlier, sweeping softly over the shore of your body. Each wave that comes in brings a little cool, clean energy. Each wave that recedes carries away a bit of tension, a bit of noise. If your attention wanders away from your breath, that is completely natural. You don't need to drag it back forcefully. You can simply notice where it went, a thought, a memory, a small imagined scene, and then let that thought float away again, like a leaf drifting downstream, while you return to the sensation of air moving in and out. As your parasympathetic system takes the lead, digestion continues its quiet work. Your organs hum along in a lower gear, and your body prepares not only to sleep, but to heal, to reset, to clean out and rebuild. You might imagine an invisible team working in the background while you rest. Cells repairing tiny damages, fluids washing through tissues, chemical balance is being restored. None of it requires your conscious involvement. You're simply the one who agrees to lie down and allow it all to happen. In a way, falling asleep is an act of trust. You release control. You say, I don't need to watch over everything. I can let go and my body will continue to breathe. My heart will continue to beat. My cells will continue to work on my behalf. It's like handing the night over to skilled caretakers who have been doing this for longer than you have been alive. If you like, you can imagine that your muscles, your heart, your lungs, your brain, your entire body are changing gears together, like a train easing from a fast daytime journey into a slower nighttime glide. The tracks are the same, solid beneath you. The world outside moves by more slowly now, in long, blurry shapes instead of sharp images. Inside the train, the lights are dimmed. People settle into their seats, close their eyes, lean their heads onto cushions. Somewhere in the gentle rattle and hum, you find yourself drawn towards stillness, toward the softness of sleep. And if you're not quite there yet, that's all right. The process can be gradual. We've only been walking together for a little while, and you may need a bit more time, a few more breaths, a few more images. You can rest in the fact that even as you listen, even as your thoughts continue to move, your body is already making these adjustments. Your heart has likely slowed a little. Your muscles have given up some of their daytime tension. Your brain has shifted at least partway into those slower, calmer rhythms. The day is on its way out. Night is taking its place. And you are somewhere in between, safe inside both, held by both, allowed to take as long as you need to cross from one to the other. If your eyes are still open and you want to close them, you can let them close now, as gently as a book being shut after a long chapter. If they have been closed for a while, you might notice the soft darkness behind them, the way it feels like a little private universe of your own. Thoughts may still arise. That's okay. They'll keep arising until eventually they don't. You don't have to push them away or cling to them. You can let them pass through like whispers in another room, heard but not requiring you to get up and answer. Your body knows the way from here. It knows how to move from this state into deeper softness, into that place where thoughts become images, images become dreams, and you no longer need to hold up the world by thinking about it. For now, you are allowed to simply lie here, listening or not listening, understanding or not understanding, gradually, gently letting yourself be carried along by the quiet machinery of sleep beginning its nightly work inside you. If you're still here with me, awake enough to notice these words, you might realize that you've drifted even deeper into the night than when we first began. Or maybe you've been floating in and out, catching only fragments, like hearing part of a conversation through a half-open door. That's perfectly okay. You're not meant to hold on to every detail, you're just letting your mind have something soft to lean against as the rest of you unwinds. If you feel yourself hovering between wakefulness and sleep, that delicate in-between place, you're right where you need to be. You don't have to move any faster than you already are. You don't have to push yourself towards sleep. You can let sleep come to you in its own time, like a tide that rises without being asked. We spoke about the way your muscles loosen, your heart slows, your breath deepens, your brain waves soften. Now let's wander gently into something even more subtle. The way your thoughts begin to wander, and why that isn't a problem at all. Think about how your mind behaves when you're lying in bed at night. You might start with one clear thought, maybe about your day, then almost before you realize it, you're thinking about something from years ago, or imagining a future conversation, or picturing a place you've never visited. Your thoughts drift, almost like they're being carried on a slow, invisible current. It can feel aimless, this wandering. Sometimes it even feels frustrating, especially if you're hoping to clear your mind. But in its own way, this gentle drifting is part of how your brain winds down. When you're awake and focused, your attention is usually directed outward, toward tasks, screens, people, responsibilities. You're in a kind of narrow beam of awareness, like a flashlight pointing at one object at a time. But when you relax, when you're not trying to solve anything or respond to anything, that beam widens. Your mind begins to explore its own landscape. It loops through memories, emotions, little daydreams. Scientists sometimes call one of the systems involved in this kind of introspective wandering thought the default mode network. You don't need to remember that name. You can just think of it as the mind's quiet background river. When you're not steering your thoughts deliberately, this river flows on its own, carrying images and ideas and feelings downstream, one after another. In the daytime, this drifting might happen when you stare out a window, or when you get lost in your thoughts while riding in a car or waiting in line. At night, as you relax in bed, the same kind of wandering can gently wrap you in its currents. Rather than seeing it as something to fight, you might imagine it as a soft, internal lullaby. Your thoughts are no longer sharp and task-oriented. They're loosening, becoming more fluid, more dreamlike. You might start to notice how one image transforms into another without much effort. You think about an email, and suddenly you're remembering the person who sent it. Then you're picturing a place you once met them, then the smell of that place, then another memory stirred up by that smell. The mind drifts, curls, loops back, and continues. This wandering can help your emotional life untangle a little. It's as if your brain is gently combing through the day, smoothing out knots, filing away impressions. You don't usually see the whole process clearly, but you feel its result. A gradual softening of the tight, concentrated energy of wakefulness. If you picture your thoughts like pages in a book, the daytime is when you read each page carefully, trying to understand and respond. Nighttime wandering is more like flipping through the pages lazily, not reading every word, just letting images and phrases pass by, maybe pausing here and there when something catches your eye, and then moving on. You don't need to control this process. In fact, trying too hard to control your thoughts at night can sometimes make you feel more awake. Instead, you might experiment with simply watching them from a distance, like watching clouds drift across the sky, changing shape and passing away. One cloud appears, fluffy and bright. Another is darker, more complex. But you don't have to climb up and fix them or chase them away. You can just lie there and let them drift, knowing that the sky behind them is wide and open, and always there. The more you allow your thoughts to wander without judgment, the easier it becomes for that wandering to slow, for the stories to grow fragmented, for waking thought to gently dissolve into dreams. At some point, and this is one of the most mysterious and ordinary miracles of human life, you cross a line without noticing. You're thinking, and then you're not. You're aware of your room, of the bed, of your body, and then suddenly you're not. You might remember the last clear thought you had, but you almost never remember the exact moment when wakefulness turned into sleep. It's a bit like walking along a shoreline in the dark. You can feel the dry sand under your feet. Then after a few more steps, the sand is damp and cool, and after a few more steps, suddenly you're standing in the water. You didn't see a painted line on the ground telling you where the dry sand ends and the wet sand begins, but your feet know, they feel the change. The transition from wakefulness to sleep works in a similar way. Inside your brain, patterns of activity that support conscious awareness gradually shift into patterns that support the deeper stages of sleep. Neurons that were firing in complex, flexible ways, helping you think and plan and remember, now begin to fire in more synchronized, rhythmic patterns, especially in certain regions. Big, slow waves sweep through your brain, like gentle tides moving in unison over a beach. You could imagine that those waves are like the lights going out in a building, but not in a frightening way. One section dims, and then another, until the whole structure is resting in darkness, lit only by a few small nightlights that keep essential systems running. You are still there, your body is still alive and active in its own way, but the part of you that constantly narrates your life that says, I am lying here, I'm thinking, I'm listening, begins to quiet down. If someone were to watch your brain activity while you fall asleep, they could see this shift happening, the patterns changing, the rhythms slowing, but from the inside, from your own point of view, it usually feels like nothing at all. One moment you're wondering about something, considering some small problem or replaying a conversation. The next moment that you remember, You're in the middle of a dream, or waking up to morning light, not quite sure how you got there. There is something very tender about this gap in your memory. It's a place where you let go completely. You release control more fully than you do at almost any other time, and yet everything important continues. Your heart keeps beating, your lungs keep breathing, your body temperature stays within a safe range, your cells go about their nightly work. Your brain remains humming with activity, just in a different, more inwardly focused way. Falling asleep then is not like flipping a switch, it's more like walking down a gentle slope, or being carried along by a slowly darkening river until your conscious mind slips beneath the surface and the dreaming mind rises. You don't have to catch this moment. You don't have to witness it. You can let it happen unseen, as it has so many times before, trusting that your body and brain know the choreography by heart. And while you drift toward that moment, or perhaps hover just before it, we can take a small, soft step sideways and look at how this whole process is woven into your everyday life. Think of a typical evening, not an ideal one, just an ordinary night. Maybe you finish your work or your chores. You eat something, you talk to someone, or scroll for a while, or watch a show. Eventually, you start doing little things that subtly signal to your body that the day is winding down. You dim the lights, or turn some of them off. You might change into softer clothes, pajamas, or something you don't wear during the day. You might wash your face or brush your teeth, stand at a sink with warm water running over your hands. You might move a few things into their places, set your alarm, plug in your phone. Each of these actions is small. Taken alone, none of them seems like a big deal, but together, night after night, they form a pattern, a kind of ritual. Your body learns to recognize these rituals as part of the going to sleep story. They become like a quiet set of cues, telling your inner systems, it's almost time now, you can start to shift, you can begin to let go. You don't have to perform them perfectly, life is rarely perfect. But even approximate routines can comfort your nervous system. Making a warm drink, reading a page or two of a book, tidying a small area, writing down a thought you don't want to forget. These can all be gentle ways of saying to yourself, the busy part of the day is over, and now I'm allowed to move toward rest. There is science in this, in the way familiar patterns lower uncertainty and help the brain feel safe. But there is also something completely human and tender in the idea of making small, consistent promises of rest to yourself. If you picture your day as a long, winding road full of turns and bumps and intersection, your evening routine is like the final, straight, quiet stretch before home. Trees on either side, streetlights glowing softly, the noise fading into the distance. You've probably seen this same story reflected in nature too. Think of birds, for instance, settling into their nests. As the light fades, they gather in branches or eaves, fluffing their feathers, turning in circles to find just the right position, tucking their heads beneath their wings. Or cats, finding a warm spot, kneading it with their paws before curling into a ball, tail wrapped around their body. They might lick a paw or two, perform a little grooming ritual, then slowly let their lids drift down. Even plants respond to the coming of night. Some flowers close their petals when the sun sets, folding in on themselves as if to keep their most delicate parts safe until morning. Leaves might droop or change their position, aligning with nighttime patterns in ways we still don't fully understand. Across the world, in forests and oceans and grasslands, countless living beings are easing into rest as darkness spreads. Some animals wake, of course, beginning their own nighttime journeys, but the rhythm is there. Activity and stillness, light and dark, outwardness and inwardness. You are a part of that natural rhythm. Even if you live in a bright city, even if your schedule is irregular, your body is still tuned to cycles of rest and wakefulness that echo the turning of the planet. There is something comforting in knowing that right now, as you lie here, many other beings are also finding their resting places. Birds with heads tucked under wings. Animals in burrows and dens. People in houses and apartments, on couches, in beds, on trains or ships, or quiet hospital chairs. All of them subject to the same gravity, the same night sky, the same basic need to let go and allow sleep to come. If you imagine looking down at the earth from far away, you might see patches of light where cities glow, but you'd also know that behind many of those lights, people are lying down, closing their eyes, trusting their bodies to carry them through the vulnerable hours of sleep. You're not alone in this. Your nightly journey into sleep is at once deeply personal and completely shared. Every human who has ever lived has fallen asleep in one way or another, in caves and huts, in caravans and ships, in farmhouses and high-rise apartments. It connects you to a long chain of sleeping figures stretched across history, each one lying down at the end of a day, letting go of whatever they carried and slipping into the deep, wordless realm of dreams. While you sleep, quiet wonders unfold inside you. Your brain, which felt so busy and crowded during the day, uses sleep to sort and file and process. Memories are strengthened or gently set aside. Important new connections are reinforced, while clutter may be pruned away. You could imagine librarians moving through vast shelves of books, returning misplaced volumes, marking some to be kept and some to be archived, making space for tomorrow's stories. At the same time, your brain and body engage in tiny repairs. Cells that worked hard all day get a chance to recover. Waste products are carried off like trash being taken out at night when the office is closed. Again, you don't usually feel any of this happening. You simply sleep. But the work is there, quiet and continuous, ensuring that when you wake, you're a little more restored than you were when you closed your eyes. When you think of all this, it can be easier to see sleep, not as an enemy, not as an obstacle in the way of doing more, but as a gentle ally. It is one of the most generous things your body offers you. A time when you don't have to manage anything consciously, and yet so much care is being taken on your behalf. If sleep has sometimes been difficult for you, it's understandable that you might feel pressure around it. A sense of, I should be asleep by now, or what if I can't fall asleep? But even listening in this quiet way, even lying here with your eyes closed but your mind still interested in words and images, can be a small step toward ease. You don't have to force anything. You don't have to chase sleep like something running away from you. You can let it approach in its own time, knowing that your biology is biased toward it, that you were made to sleep, just as you were made to wake. Right now, in this moment, you're already participating in the process simply by being here, breathing, allowing your body to be still. Each slow breath, each passing minute carries you closer. If you are still not listening, you might notice that the content of these words has grown softer, less like instructions and more like gentle reminders. This is on purpose. We are moving little by little from explanation into something more like a lullaby of ideas, from the structure of how sleep works into the feeling of being held by it. You don't have to hold all the details in your mind. You can let them sink down, settle into the background like stones in a clear pool, while the surface above remains smooth and calm. Your only task now, if it can even be called a task, is simply to rest here, in this quiet place between knowing and not knowing, between thinking and dreaming, and let your body keep doing what it has always known how to do, gently, tenderly carry you toward the sleep. If you're still hearing these words, some part of you is awake enough to listen, and some part of you may already be drifting far away. Both are welcome here. You might have followed every step, every explanation, every image, or you might have only caught little pieces, like shells glinting on a beach as you walk by in the twilight. Either way, it's enough. You have done more than enough for today. You don't have to think any more about brain waves or hormones or systems in the body. You don't have to remember any names or details. All of that can sink down to the bottom of your awareness, like stones resting peacefully at the bottom of a clear lake. On the surface, where your attention floats, only the simplest things need to remain now: breath, warmth, softness, the sense of being gently held in this moment. Your body is already well on its way into the night. Your heart knows how to slow. Your muscles know how to loosen. Your brain knows how to slip from thoughts into dreams. You could imagine all of this as a story that has already been written inside you, a story your body tells every night, whether you read it or not. Tonight, you've just taken a little time to notice some of the pages, but you don't have to keep reading. For now, let's let the story retell itself in a simpler, slower way, like a soft echo. You are lying somewhere safe. You are supported by the bed or the whiteboard, or whatever surface cradles you. Feel, if you like, the gentle weight of your body pressing down and the equal, patient support pressing back up, holding you in place. There is nothing you need to lift, nothing you need to carry, not with your hands, not with your thoughts, not with your heart. Your breath moves in and out on its own. You might choose, just for a moment, to follow it again. In, a quiet gathering. Out, a slow release. In, drawing in calm. Out, letting go of the day. You don't have to change the breath, only notice it, like watching small ripples on a pond, gently expanding and fading away. If a thought comes, you can let it float on the surface of your mind for a moment, then drift away to the edges, like a leaf carried off by the current. You don't need to follow it. You can stay here, with the breath, or with the feeling of your body resting, or even with nothing at all. If you'd like, you can return to that quiet place we visited earlier, or perhaps let it become even softer now, less detailed, more like a dream of a place than a place itself. Maybe you're back on the shore of that calm night sea, the sand beneath you is cool and smooth, the air brushes your skin with gentle hands, the water breathes beside you, waves folding and unfolding in slow motion. The moon has climbed a little higher, and its pale light lies across the surface of the water like a silvery path. The stars above have grown brighter and more numerous, scattered across the sky, like tiny lanterns hung in the fabric of the night. The sounds are soft and steady, the distant hush of water meeting shore, the almost silent sigh of air moving past your ears. Nothing urgent, nothing demanding, just the slow, ancient rhythm of a world at rest. Or maybe, instead of the shore, you see a wide open field under the night sky. The grass is tall and soft, moving in waves whenever a breeze passes through. You're walking there slowly, bare feet brushing against the ground, or perhaps you're lying on your back, tucked into the gentle hollow the earth has made for you. Above you, the sky is deep and velvet dark, studded with stars. They look almost close enough to touch if you reached out your hand, but of course they're unimaginably far away. Somehow that distance feels safe, not lonely, like a beautiful painting drawn across the ceiling of the world. The air smells faintly of earth and leaves, maybe a hint of something sweet, like night-blooming flowers, nothing sharp, nothing startling, only soft, familiar scents that make your body feel quieter, heavier in a pleasant way. In this field, in this place, there is no schedule, no messages to answer, no things you should be doing. Time moves slowly, almost lazily, and you're allowed to just exist inside it, without effort. You don't even have to choose between the shore and the field. The images can blend into one another, the field becoming a beach, the beach becoming a cabin, the cabin becoming a cloud that you rest on. This is the territory of dreams now, where things can change gently without explanation. Wherever you are in your imagination, your body is still here, breathing. Your heart still beats, your muscles still release bit by bit, as if all their knots were gently being loosened by invisible hands. If there's any place in your body that still feels tight or restless, you don't have to bang towards it. You can just send it a little attention, the way you might place a hand on a worried friend's shoulder. A quiet, wordless message. It's okay. You can rest now. You don't need to hold so much. With each breath out, you can imagine that place letting go of just one single thread of tension. Not all of it at once, just one thread, and then another, and another. Slowly, gently, and easily. Those words can repeat like a small mantra if they feel good to you. Slowly, gently, and easily, you're allowed to move towards sleep at your own pace. You're allowed to feel however you feel on the way there. You're allowed to let the words blur and unravel until they're only sounds, and they're not even sounds, just a faint impression that you might remember in the morning as something calm I once listened to. Your mind might still present you with bits of the day, a face, a sentence, a small worry. You don't have to block them. You can simply greet them kindly as if saying, "I see you. Thank you for coming. You can rest now too." Then imagine them dissolving like little clouds in warm sunlight, fading back into the wide, clear sky of your awareness, which doesn't have to hold on to any one shape. Thoughts, after all, are just visitors. The sky doesn't try to keep the clouds from moving on. The ocean doesn't try to trap each wave in place. You don't have to trap your thoughts either. Let them come. Let them go. Behind them, there is always a quiet space waiting, like a room lit by soft, steady candlelight. If you find it helpful, you might picture your whole self as a small boat drifting on a calm, dark lake. You don't have any oars. You don't need them. There's no storm, no rough water, no rush to get anywhere. The boat rocks very gently, just enough to remind you that you're floating, but never so much that you feel unsteady. The surface of the lake is smooth, mirroring the stars above. The night stretches out in all directions, tranquil and deep. You lie back in the little boat, looking up, feeling completely supported, completely safe. The boat knows how to float. The water knows how to hold it. You don't have to do anything. Around you, perhaps you see tiny lights like fireflies, drifting up from the surface of the water and into the sky. Each firefly could be a small thought, a fragment of the day, a tiny piece of your to-do list. One by one they rise, flicker, and disappear, until the darkness is clean and soft again. The boat drifts. The water breathes. You breathe with it, without trying. In this drifting, there is nothing to accomplish. You're not trying to succeed at sleeping. Sleep is not a task. It's a gentle falling, a natural settling. You can remind yourself, if you like, I am allowed to rest. I am allowed to stop trying. I am allowed to fall asleep when sleep comes, and until then I am allowed to simply be calm. You don't have to repeat those words out loud. You can just let the meaning settle into you like soft rain soaking into dry ground. Your body has heard them. Your nervous system has heard them. Every part of you that felt it had to keep watch can begin to stand down, like guards leaving their posts when the night is finally peaceful and still. If you find your attention slipping away from the words more and more often, that's a good sign. It might feel like you keep missing things in the narration, or that you can't quite stay with the images, but that's exactly what we want. Your mind loosening its grip on clear, linear understanding and drifting closer to the hazy world of dreams. At some point, these sentences will likely stop making complete sense. They might blur into bits and pieces, fragments that rearrange themselves inside your half-dreaming awareness. You might find yourself suddenly remembering a place from childhood, or seeing a random object in your mind's eye, or hearing a voice that isn't actually in the room. When that happens, you don't need to pull yourself back. You don't need to insist on listening properly. You can let yourself follow those inner paths, trusting that your body and brain are only guiding you deeper into rest. If instead you are still very awake, that's all right too. There are nights like that. On those nights, the kindness is in letting go of the pressure to be asleep already. Even if you simply lie here, eyes closed, body supported, breathing slowly, you're offering yourself a form of rest. Your muscles are still doing less work. Your heart is still beating more gently. Your mind is still being given a chance to step away from the brightness of the day. Sleep may still come later when you're not looking for it so hard. It sometimes arrives quietly, like someone slipping into a room without turning on the light. So whether you're already half in dreams or still fully aware, you're doing enough, more than enough. If you'd like one more simple visualization, you can imagine that everything from this day, all of its moments and emotions, has been placed into a soft, woven basket beside your bed. Each memory, each conversation, each small triumph, each small worry, all of it rests there now, safely contained. You don't have to sort through it. You don't have to fix or analyze anything right now. You can whisper to the basket in your mind if it feels comforting. Thank you for everything today. You can stay here. I will come back to you in the morning if I need to. Then picture yourself gently covering the basket with a soft cloth. Not sealing it away, not burying it, just tucking it in for the night. The basket stays there, patient and still. You're free to turn your attention inward, toward warmth, toward softness, toward the simple feeling of existing in a body that is allowed to rest. Notice, if you can, the contact points between your body and whatever supports you, the way your head meets the pillow, the way your shoulders, your back, your hips settle into their own shapes, the way your legs and feet are cradled. Imagine those contact points glowing faintly with warmth, as if the bed were absorbing the last bits of tension from your muscles and replacing them with comfort. Anywhere that still feels uncomfortable can be invited to shift just a tiny bit. You can make a small adjustment, change the angle of an arm, bend or straighten a knee, move a pillow. Then let everything settle again. You have taken care of yourself in many ways today, in ways you may not even have noticed. Now, letting yourself rest is one more act of care. Breath in, breath out, slowly, gently, easily. If you are already drifting, you might only hear pieces of those words. They might begin to stretch out with longer and longer pauses in between, like stepping stones across a river that you no longer need to cross. You might hear my voice as if it were coming from far away, echoing down a long hallway of dreams. Or you might stop hearing it altogether, returning only in little flashes when you shift in your sleep or move slightly on the bed. That's exactly how it should be. You're safe to go where the words can't follow you. Safe to enter that private, silent world where your body does its quiet work and your mind wanders through landscapes of its own making. If you wake up later in the night, or if you're listening to this as you drift back to sleep after waking, you can simply rejoin this softness wherever you find it. You don't have to start over. You don't have to retrace any steps. You can just slip back into the imagery, into the rhythm of the breath, into the assurance that your body still remembers the way. For now, as this voice grows softer and further away in your awareness, let there be less language and more feeling. The feeling of being held by the night. The feeling of being surrounded by something vast and gentle. The feeling of being allowed completely to rest. You have done enough. You are enough. The day is over now. Somewhere inside you, tiny systems are humming quietly, taking care of you. Somewhere outside you, the world is turning, carrying you slowly toward morning. You don't have to manage either of those things. All you have to do is breathe in and out, letting go and letting go again. Until the words blur and fade, until the images melt into dreams, until there is nothing left to do and you have floated all the way down into deep, quiet, healing sleep. Good night, and then, softer still, almost too soft to hear, good night. If some part of you is still here with me, listening to these words, we're very deep into the night together. Now, maybe you've stayed awake through the whole journey, quietly following along. Maybe you've already fallen asleep once or twice and drifted back, joining us again somewhere in the middle. Maybe you're floating in that hazy space where you hear only every other sentence, like echoes across a valley. Whatever your state, it's all right. You don't need to fix it or change it. You're allowed to be exactly as you are in this moment. By now, your body has heard many soft invitations to rest. Your mind has wandered across science and story and quiet images. You've been reminded that your brain knows how to slow its rhythms, that your body knows how to loosen, that your heart and your lungs and all the tiny systems within you know how to ease into their nighttime work. At this point, there's nothing new you need to understand. We're not here to stack more ideas on top of your mind. We're here to help everything get lighter, softer, simpler, until even the words can fade away. So if you're comfortable, let your awareness gently return to the feeling of your body resting. Notice the way your head is supported, the softness or firmness of the pillow beneath it, the way your neck doesn't have to hold your head up anymore, the way gravity is doing that for you, and the bed is doing that for gravity. Notice your shoulders, the way they lie. If they still feel a little lifted, you can allow them to drop a fraction of an inch, as though they're exhaling too. Feel the weight of your arms. Maybe one is lying by your side, the other folded in some familiar position. However they're arranged, they don't have to do anything. They're just there, resting like branches that have stopped swaying after a long day of wind. Your hands, your fingers, so much they've touched and carried and typed and held. For now, they can simply exist. No need to grasp or point or swipe or scroll. Just hands at rest like shells on a quiet shore. Your chest lifts and falls over and over without any effort on your part. It's been doing this since before you can remember, and it will keep doing it through the night. In, air comes in, bringing what you need. Out, air leaves, carrying away what you no longer need. Your belly rises and falls with that same rhythm, a soft, quiet tide. If it feels safe, you can imagine that with each exhale, the area around your stomach and ribs loosens a little more, like a knot gently untangling in slow motion. Your hips, your legs, your feet, they've taken you through this day, step after step, hour after hour. Now they're allowed to be completely still. They may feel heavy against the hay, and that heaviness is not a burden. It's a sign that you're being held. Like stones resting at the bottom of a clear pool, your legs and feet are simply settled, with nothing more required of them. If your position is even slightly uncomfortable, you have full permission to make one small adjustment, very lazily. A tiny shift of the head or shoulders, a little roll to one side, a knee bent or straightened. Then let everything sink back into stillness. There's nothing you can do wrong in this moment. All that matters is that you're as comfortable as you reasonably can be in this body, in this bed, in this night. Let your breath become the simplest thing in the world again. In and out. No need to synchronize it to the words. The words can follow you, not the other way around. In your inhale, maybe you feel a sense of gentle expansion, the ribs moving outward ever so slightly, the chest lifting, the air sliding in cool. In your exhale, perhaps there's a feeling of everything settling, the chest relaxing, the ribs falling back inward, the air leaving a bit warmer, carrying with it a little more of the day. If thoughts appear, that's fine. They might be about something you heard earlier, or about nothing related at all. They might be the strange, half-formed beginnings of dreams. You don't have to push them away. You don't have to hold on to them. You can picture each thought as a small feather landing on the surface of a pond. It touches the water, causes a tiny ripple, and then the ripple fades. The pond goes back to being smooth and quiet. Beneath all the feathers and ripples, beneath all the thoughts and images, there is something steady. The simple fact of you lying here, breathing. You are here, in this moment, and that is enough. We've talked about how your brain builds up sleep pressure, how your inner clocks respond to light and dark, how your mind loosens its grip on the rigid shapes of the day and allows them to melt into dreams. We've wandered through little scenes of nature and night, through nests and fields and quiet oceans. You don't need to hold those details now. Instead, you might hold just one comforting idea. Your body is on your side. Even when sleep feels distant or fragile, the deep design of you is tilted toward rest. Your cells, your neurons, your heartbeat, your hormones, all of them are part of a pattern that has evolved over ages to bring you back again and again to sleep. You're not broken for needing this. You're not weak for wanting rest. You're simply human, like all the humans before you and all the humans around you now. Somewhere in this same moment, someone else is lying down and closing their eyes. Someone is tucking a child into bed. Someone is resting in a hospital room, eyes half open, breathing quietly. Someone on a long flight is dozing against a window. Someone on a ship is rocking gently with the waves. All of us, scattered across cities and mountains and coasts, are taking turns being the ones who are awake and the ones who are asleep. Right now, you're on the edge of that mystery, stepping from one side to the other. You don't have to understand all the details of sleep science to belong here. To be part of this nightly rhythm, it's enough that you're alive, and it is night, and your body is ready in its own way to let go. If you'd like, you can imagine being wrapped now in the softest, most comforting blanket you can think of. It might be a real blanket from your life, or one your imagination creates just for tonight. Feel the weight of it, just heavy enough to make you feel grounded, just light enough to feel gentle. It settles over your shoulders, your chest, your legs, all the way down to your feet, tucking in around you like a warm, protective cloud. This blanket doesn't just hold your body, it holds your thoughts too. Restless ones, worried ones, hopeful ones, all of them can nestle under that softness, no longer needing to whirl around in the dark. Under the blanket of night, you're allowed to stop being the one who keeps everything going. You're allowed to hand the night over to the quiet autopilot of your biology, to let your thoughts blur at the edges, to let your awareness ebb and flow like distant waves. If any part of you is still tense, you might offer it a simple, kind message. Not now, not tonight. You can rest. Say it simply to yourself if it feels good. Or don't say anything at all and let the feeling be enough. Now, notice once more the darkness behind your closed eyes. If you look into it, without straining, you might see faint shapes or colours. Like distant lights behind fog, you might see nothing at all, just a velvety black. Either way, that inner darkness can be a resting place for your attention. You don't have to push it away. You can let your awareness sink into it the way a pebble dropped into a lake sinks slowly, deeper and deeper, leaving only the gentlest ripples behind. Up above, in your imagined night sky, the one in your visualization and the real one outside your walls, stars are still burning unimaginably far away, steady and calm. They don't rush, they don't strain, they simply shine, hour after hour, year after year. If you think of anything at all right now, you might think of yourself as one small living point of light under that vast sky. Not less important because you're small, in some ways, more precious because of it. You are here for this one night, in this one body, breathing this one breath. And the kindest thing you can do for yourself in this moment is to let that be enough, and to rest. There is nothing outside this moment that you need to carry. Tomorrow will come with its own light and its own energy. Morning will arrive whether you worry about it or do not. The sun doesn't need you to set an alarm for it to rise. The earth doesn't need you to stay awake for it to keep spinning. You are allowed now to slip out of the role of organizer, fixer, thinker, and simply become a sleeper. One more human who's closed their eyes and trusted the night to hold them. If you wake later, that will be okay. You'll still be able to return to this softness. Sleep is not a single moment you either hit or miss. It's a landscape you can wander in and out of. And even wandering near its edges is gentler than standing in the stark brightness of the day. So now, we'll let the ideas grow simpler still. Your body is resting. Your breath is moving. Your heart is beating. You're safe enough in this moment to close your eyes and let go. You don't have to listen closely anymore. You can let the sound of this voice fade into the background, no more important than the faint hum of the night, or the quiet sounds of your home settling, or the rhythm of your own breath. If you notice yourself slipping into dreams, you don't need to pull yourself back. You can follow them, like following a gentle stream into a forest, until the waking world is far behind you and all that's left is the soft rustle of leaves, the murmur of water, the warm comfort of simply existing in a place beyond effort. You've walked far enough for tonight. You've thought enough for tonight. You've been enough all day long. Now you can rest. There is no hard ending here. No sharp edge where the story stops. Just a gradual thinning of words, a lengthening of silence, like a candle burning low at the end of the evening, its light growing softer, dimmer, warmer, until eventually it goes out, not with a shock, but with a quiet sigh. Let these last moments be like that candle, soft, gentle, fading in their own time. If you are still awake, you might barely hear what comes next. If you are already on the edge of sleep, you may not hear it at all. Either way, it's all right. Breathe in and out, slowly, gently, easily. Let the night hold you. Let your body take over. Let sleep find you in its own quiet way. And as the words dissolve and the silence grows deeper, know that you are wished a peaceful, healing, unhurried rest. Good night, and then even softer, almost only a feeling rather than a sound, good night.